Last Tuesday morning, a 73-year-old grandfather named Arthur walked into my hospital for a routine consultation. He was walking, talking, and perfectly capable of living his life. 3 days later, he was lying in a recovery room, staring at a cold fluorescent ceiling, completely terrified, because a complication from a procedure he never actually needed meant he might never walk unassisted again. He was suddenly facing the exact nightmare so many of us dread the most, the very real fear of losing his independence and ending up in a nursing home. Video introductions like this almost always start with a real and terrifying story of an ordinary patient, because it is the absolute truth of what happens behind closed doors. This is not just an isolated tragedy. If you are a man or woman over the age of 60, you are stepping into a medical system that is increasingly treating you as a mere number. You sit in a waiting room for an hour, only to be rushed through a 10-minute consultation where the quickest solution is often a heavy prescription or a spot on the operating table. It is no wonder that so many of you have a growing distrust of hospitals, especially after witnessing the devastating complications or loss of loved ones due to medical errors. We are seeing a massive push for 5 specific surgeries in older adults, procedures that carry massive hidden risks. The system is built on volume, pushing these interventions because they fit neatly into an outdated protocol. But you do not have to be the next Arthur. You are not at fault for trusting a system that was supposed to protect you. By understanding the real mechanics of these 5 procedures and the non-invasive alternatives your body is begging for, you can protect your autonomy. I am going to reveal exactly what these 5 interventions are, why the system defaults to them, and the crucial questions you must ask your physician before you ever agree to put on a hospital gown. I am Dr. Marcus Caldwell, an active cardiothoracic surgeon. For the last 2 decades, I have stood under the blinding lights of the operating room, opening chests and literally holding beating human hearts in my own hands. I know exactly what it takes to save a life when the monitor flatlines, but I also see the devastating toll that aggressive, unnecessary procedures take on an aging body. I stepped in front of this camera because the current medical system is failing you. They give us exactly 7 minutes per patient. 7 minutes to listen to your entire medical history, find the root cause of your pain, and offer a real solution. It is physically impossible. Instead of genuine care, you get a quick prescription or a rushed surgical referral. I refuse to let you be treated as a mere number on a billing sheet. You deserve the unvarnished truth about your health, the kind of truth that keeps you out of my operating room and living with the dignity and independence you have earned. The medical system is not filled with evil villains twisting their mustaches in dark rooms. The doctors, the nurses, and the staff you see every day are exhausted, overworked, and bound by a set of incredibly outdated medical guidelines. That is the real enemy here. The rigid, ancient rulebook that dictates exactly how your health is managed. These guidelines were written decades ago, often based on studies done on young individuals, yet they are applied to a 70-year-old body as if there is no difference. When you walk into a clinic complaining about severe back pain, knee stiffness, or a fluttering in your chest, your doctor opens a chart that gives them exactly one narrow path to follow. They are forced to quickly cycle through patients because the hospital administration demands volume. The entire financial structure of modern healthcare is built on a foundation that rewards procedures, not prevention. It is a system focused heavily on profits rather than true health. So when a surgeon suggests a spinal fusion, a joint replacement, or a major cardiovascular intervention, it is rarely because they have spent hours analyzing your unique biology. It is because that specific surgery is the pre-approved, heavily reimbursed response mandated by those outdated guidelines. They simply do not have the time to look at your daily habits, your stress levels, or the root cause of your inflammation. They are playing a massive numbers game, and unfortunately, you are treated as just another number. And this is exactly why you cannot blame yourself for the pain you are in or the deep confusion you feel. I see so many incredible, hard-working people sitting in my office, looking down at their hands, feeling completely defeated. They think their bodies are simply failing them because they are getting older. They think they did something wrong, that they did not eat well enough, and now a massive, risky surgery is their only way out. I need you to hear me right now, and I need you to truly believe it. It is not your fault. You have done the absolute best you could with the flawed information you were given. You trusted a system that promised to take care of you, a system that instead rushed you out the door with a handful of heavy prescriptions and a glossy surgical brochure. You are not broken. Your body is incredibly resilient, even at 60, 70, or 80 years old. You value your quality of life, your dignity, and your autonomy far more than just existing in a hospital bed. The intense fatigue, the chronic pain, and that terrifying feeling of losing your independence are often the direct result of a medical protocol that merely masks symptoms instead of healing the root cause. You have been made to feel powerless, handed off from one specialist to another, never truly being heard or validated. But that stops right here. You are taking the power back. Before you ever let someone put you under anesthesia and risk everything you have worked for, you need to understand the biological reality of what happens to your tissues when you cross that 60-year mark and the exact mechanism that makes these 5 procedures so dangerous. To truly understand why these 5 specific procedures carry such a massive, unspoken weight, we have to look at what is actually happening inside your body right now. When you cross the threshold of 60, 70, or 80 years of life, your biology undergoes a profound and beautiful transformation. Your body is not breaking down, but it is changing the way it heals. In your 20s and 30s, your cells replicate with explosive speed. If you suffer a trauma, your body sends a massive wave of acute inflammation to the site, repairs the damage, and then that inflammation completely disappears. But as we age, we develop what science refers to as senescent cells. Some people call them zombie cells. These are cells that have stopped dividing but refuse to die off, and they sit in your tissues, constantly secreting a low level of inflammatory chemicals. This means your baseline level of inflammation is already naturally higher. Now think about what happens when a surgeon brings a scalpel to your body. Surgery is not a healing process in its initial stage. Surgery is an organized, controlled trauma. When a doctor cuts through your skin, muscles, and fascia to replace a joint or fuse a spine, they are dropping a bomb of acute trauma into a system that is already managing chronic, low-grade inflammation. Your immune system goes into absolute overdrive. For a younger person, the body can clear this inflammatory storm in a matter of weeks. But for a senior, this massive spike in inflammation can become systemic. It circulates through your bloodstream, affecting your joints, your heart, and most terrifyingly, your brain. This is exactly why so many older patients go in for a simple structural repair and come out suffering from extreme fatigue, chronic pain, and a devastating loss of energy that they simply cannot shake. The surgery might have fixed the structural issue, but the biological cost of the trauma leaves them physically depleted and dangerously close to losing the independence they cherish so deeply. And then we must address the most silent and overlooked danger of all, the anesthesia. You are told you will simply go to sleep and wake up fixed, but general anesthesia is not sleep. It is a medically induced coma. Your brain is flooded with powerful chemical agents to paralyze your nervous system and erase your consciousness. While a young brain might metabolize and clear these toxic chemicals relatively quickly, an older brain processes them very differently.
We are seeing an epidemic of post-operative cognitive dysfunction. This is the heavy, suffocating brain fog, the sudden memory loss, and the severe mental confusion that strikes seniors after major surgery. I have held the hands of brilliant, sharp 80-year-olds who went under for a routine procedure and woke up unable to remember their grandchildren's names for weeks. It is a terrifying experience, and it is entirely validated by the science. Your fear of losing your sharp mind, your fear of waking up altered and vulnerable is not paranoia. It is a highly accurate biological intuition. I want you to visualize your body's tissues, your muscles, ligaments, and cellular matrix, not as mechanical parts that can be swapped out, but as a deeply woven, ancient tapestry. When a tapestry is newly woven, the threads are tight, resilient, and highly elastic. If it gets snagged, you can easily stitch it back together and the repair holds flawlessly. But after 6 or 7 decades, that beautiful tapestry has earned a complex wear. The fibers are softer, the weave is more delicate. If you take heavy surgical shears and cut right through the middle of that antique tapestry, you cannot simply sew it back together with thick synthetic modern thread and expect it to hold the same way. The edges will fray, the tension will be wrong, the structural integrity of that beautiful fabric is permanently altered. This is exactly what happens when we try to force aggressive surgical interventions on aging tissues. We are treating a delicate, complex biological tapestry as if it were a cheap piece of modern fabric. A landmark study published by leading researchers in anesthesiology and geriatrics tracked thousands of patients over the age of 65 who underwent these types of elective surgeries. The findings were chilling. The data showed that a significant percentage of these seniors experienced a drastic decline in their overall baseline of health within the first year after the procedure. They were more likely to require assisted living, more likely to experience a severe cardiovascular event, and significantly more likely to report a total loss of their personal autonomy. The very surgeries they were told would give them their lives back were the exact events that accelerated their decline and pushed them closer to the nursing home they feared so much. The system treats the symptom, but completely ignores the traumatic cost to the entire biological system. But what if you never had to make that cut? What if there was a way to support that beautiful, complex tapestry of your body using mechanisms you already possess without ever stepping foot into a cold operating room? What if you could signal your cells to reduce that inflammation and reverse the damage using simple, natural techniques that cost absolutely nothing? The truth is, you have far more power over your cellular health than any hospital brochure will ever admit, and I'm going to walk you through the exact actionable steps you can start using tonight to take your control back.
Here is the gold, the exact roadmap your body is desperately asking for. Before you sign any consent form for a joint replacement, a spinal fusion, or agree to swallow another heavy pill that leaves you exhausted, I want you to try a radically different approach. This is about supporting your biology, reversing the damage naturally, and taking the target off your back. We are going to bypass the scalpel and activate your body's innate healing mechanisms using simple 60-second tricks and natural solutions. Write these down. Step 1 is what I call the vascular decompression breath. When you are in chronic pain from a worn-out knee or an aching lower back, your nervous system is trapped in a permanent state of fight or flight. This restricts blood flow to your peripheral tissues, starving your joints of the oxygen they need to heal. I want you to sit on the edge of your bed every single morning. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply through your nose for 4 seconds, hold it for 7 seconds, and exhale forcefully through your mouth for 8 seconds. Do this exactly 4 times. This specific rhythm forces your vagus nerve to manually override your stress response. It dilates your blood vessels, flushing your joints with highly oxygenated, nutrient-rich blood. It costs absolutely nothing
and it is more effective at reducing morning stiffness than the toxic pain pills they hand out without a second thought. Step 2 targets the sheer mechanical stress on your spine and hips. The system will tell you that you need a major surgical intervention to fix the pain, but they do not tell you that your sleep position is actively compressing your lumbar discs for 8 hours every single night, accelerating the very damage they want to operate on. Tonight, you are going to change the geometry of your body. If you sleep on your back, place a firm rolled towel directly under your knees. Do not use a soft pillow, use a rolled towel. If you sleep on your side, put a thick, firm pillow exactly between your knees and another supporting your ankles. This perfectly aligns your pelvis and unloads the pressure on your sciatic nerve and lower vertebrae. I have seen patients cancel their spinal surgeries just by making this one structural adjustment and sticking to it for 30 days. Step 3 is your evening biological flush. Inflammation is the silent fire that burns down your cartilage and forces you into the surgical ward. You need to put that fire out while you sleep. I want you to brew a specific tea every single night, 1 hour before bed. You take fresh ginger, a massive natural anti-inflammatory, and steep it with a pinch of black pepper and turmeric. The black pepper increases the absorption of the turmeric by 2,000%. This golden liquid acts as a biological solvent. It actively scavenges those senescent cells, the ones secreting those inflammatory chemicals we talked about, and sweeps them out of your bloodstream while you rest. You will wake up feeling vastly lighter, with a drastically reduced level of background pain and none of the extreme fatigue caused by heavy pharmaceuticals. Step 4 is the 60-second grip technique. This is crucial for anyone whose doctor is pushing aggressive cardiovascular interventions or heavy blood pressure medications because their numbers are slightly elevated. High blood pressure in seniors is often a symptom of arterial stiffness, not necessarily a failing heart. You can manually signal your arteries to relax. Take a simple hand towel, roll it up, and squeeze it with your dominant hand as hard as you comfortably can for exactly 60 seconds. Release it for 2 minutes and repeat this 3 times. This isometric exercise triggers a massive release of nitric oxide directly into your bloodstream. Nitric oxide is a miracle molecule that tells your blood vessels to widen and soften. It lowers your systemic pressure beautifully and naturally, protecting you from that terrifying morning stroke or sudden heart attack you fear the most. It is a brilliant physiological mechanism that bypasses the pharmacy entirely. Why do these 4 steps work so profoundly? Because they don't fight your age. They deeply respect it. They work synergistically to flip the switch in your autonomic nervous system from a state of emergency to a state of profound repair. We are moving away from the dangerous mentality of cutting out the problem and stepping into the power of treating the root cause. Your body knows exactly how to heal. It just needs the right environment. The doctors in the clinic don't teach you this because the system only gives them 7 minutes per patient. They simply don't have the time to explain the profound impact of these biological adjustments. I want you to take this knowledge and use it as an unbreakable shield. The next time a physician rushes into the room, looks at their watch, and hands you a surgical pamphlet, you do not have to just nod and accept it feeling utterly powerless. You have the power to advocate for yourself. You look them directly in the eye and say that you are focusing on reducing your systemic inflammation and improving your vascular tone naturally. You demand that they explain the exact why behind their recommendations. Ask them directly what the failure rate of that procedure is for someone your age. Ask them to clearly explain the cognitive risks of the anesthesia they plan to use. You are no longer a passive passenger in your own health journey. You are the absolute authority over your body. You value your quality of life, your dignity, and your autonomy far above any medical metric. You understand that existing for more years means absolutely nothing if those years are spent trapped in a nursing home or suffering the consequences of a surgery you never actually needed. By implementing these natural, simple solutions, you are building an impenetrable fortress around your health. You are preserving your sharp mind, your mobility, and your absolute freedom. You are stepping out of the shadows of a broken system and taking the reins of your own destiny. But even with these incredible tools in your arsenal, there's a silent saboteur hiding in your kitchen right now that could be undoing all of this hard work, feeding that dangerous inflammation and pushing your heart to the breaking point while you sleep.
I need you to do something incredibly important for me right now. Look down at the comments section and tell me your story. Have you or a loved one ever felt pressured into a procedure that simply did not feel right? Did you experience that terrifying brain fog after anesthesia that no one warned you about? Your voice matters here. Your experience might be the exact warning someone else desperately needs to read today to save their own independence and avoid a nursing home. We are building a community of empowered individuals who refuse to be treated as mere statistics by a broken system, a true support group for those who have been let down. This message is too critical to keep to yourself. I am asking you from the bottom of my heart to share this video with your spouse, a family member, or a friend who is over the age of 60. Send it to that person who is constantly complaining about joint pain or who is dreading their next doctor's appointment. You could literally be saving them from a life-altering complication and giving them the tools to advocate for themselves. But your journey to reclaiming your health does not stop here. We just uncovered the hidden risks of the operating room, but there is a daily habit you are likely doing every single morning that is silently triggering massive cardiovascular stress. It is a completely normal routine that drastically increases your risk of a sudden event before noon. Click on the video appearing on your screen right now. I will expose exactly what that morning trigger is and show you the simple biological switch to diffuse it safely. Click that video and let us keep protecting your heart.